Hustling to get in. Great play. Back inches. Jarvis and Gustavsson with the save, and he'll pounce on that.
You need some.
And reaching for it's Aho. He'll take a peek across, and Gustavsson robs Jarvis. That's his best save of the period, bar none. Kept in. Orlov. Chatfield. Chatfield shot deflected. Bounces. They score! Oh, any way you can get the Chatmandu, you'll take it. Kane's on the board. It's 2-1.
After review, the play was deemed to be offside. Therefore, we have no goal.
Oh, man. Hi, everyone. It's the Canes Corner Podcast. I am Adam Gold, and we are brought to you by the Aluminum Company of North Carolina. It's for the exterior of your home. You can find it at the Aluminum Company of North Carolina on Hamlin Road in Durham. No place like it. Sammy Hannon and his crew do a great job. You should check them out, even if the Hurricanes lost 4-0 to the Minnesota Wild tonight. I do think that it's worth just starting with this. Let's not pretend the Minnesota Wild ain't good at this. You didn't lose to a team that isn't one of the best in the West. They have the fourth best points percentage in the entire National Hockey League. And they have an incredible record away from home. If I could point this out, coming into today or tonight, they were 14-3-3 on the road. 14-3-3. Excuse me. Dropped my disappeared from screen there. Disappeared like 14-3-3. So they're now 15-3-3 on the road. This is what they do. They bore the living daylights out of you because they're not interested in entertaining your fans. It's not their job. It's your job. And they sucked the life out of the game, and Carolina didn't play it well enough, long enough. Truth is that there were opportunities to score in the first period that Carolina just didn't take advantage of. Not a lot, because you don't get a lot. Minnesota does not give you anything. And when they don't have their guy, Kirill Kaprizov, they are even more likely to just lock it down and see if you can play, just kind of wait them out and be patient. Carolina just didn't do it enough. But again, Seth Jarvis had two pretty great scoring opportunities in the first period, both off feeds from Sebastian Aho, and he just didn't score. And we can boil it down to basically that for Carolina. In a game where you're not getting a ton, you just had to figure out a way to take care of one of your chances, bury one of yours, and maybe that would have been enough. So you're down 1-0 on the Matt Zuccarello goal, which, I mean, I don't even know anybody that's at fault there. It's just kind of a broken play. What amounted to a cross-corner dump. Funny thing is, if Matt Boldy is able to corral that puck, it's probably not a goal because Carolina was in good position. But it deflects off of him. Ty Smith can't beat him to the corner. I think he tried to cut him off rather than go after the puck. And when he couldn't do that, when he couldn't cut him off, Boldy's into the corner by himself. And the pass to Zuccarello, everybody was out of balance. Aho was sort of behind the net. Ended up not marking anybody, but Zuccarello wasn't Aho's guy anyway. Aho's probably got he's the low forward there. And ultimately, Zuccarello's shot, great shot, past Kochetkov for 1-0. But in the last 5 minutes of the first period, Aho gave Jarvis two absolute golden chances to tie the game, and Seth couldn't convert either of them. And there's a lot of that going on. Seth Jarvis, 1 goal in 13 games. Martin Necas, 1 goal in 13 games. That was the empty netter. Andrei Svechnikov, 1 goal in 12 games. Let's see. In the last, 3.5 weeks, Jarvis, Necas, and Svechnikov have combined for 3 goals. Wonder if that's in part why Carolina struggled. You think? So ultimately it comes down to your home run hitters got to hit the long ball. Right now, our home run hitters aren't hitting the long ball. Doesn't have to be any more complicated than that. We can talk about a lot of reasons for that, but ultimately, and with today being an exception, those guys have been creating chances. I don't know if I'd say that about Andre. Actually, Necas hasn't been all that great either. Tonight was a game in which it looked like Carolina was playing on choppy ice. Now, again, I said this during the aftermath. I'm not suggesting that Carolina was playing on choppy ice. I'm just saying that's how it looked. It also looked for a good portion of this game as though Carolina didn't practice or needed to be introduced to one another. Because we had a situation, I think it was with Roslovic and Walker, where Roslovic made a drop pass to Walker, except Walker was skating right next to him. Not really sure how that's going to work. There was, and even from Aho, there was a willingness to not shoot at times when the pass was either more difficult or Minnesota was in the way. Sometimes when Carolina gets into these offensive funks, and they go through it every year, and they're legitimately going through it now, as evidenced by what I've been talking about. Jarvis, Necas, Svechnikov combined 3 goals basically in the last 3.5 weeks. What generally is the case is that Carolina isn't simplifying. Shoot the puck, go get it. Honestly, I know people don't like to hear it, but play like the Staal line plays. I didn't think they were particularly good. Although I thought in the second period, I thought that line probably had Carolina's best scoring opportunities. Much like in the first period, Aho, Jarvis, Roslovic had more scoring opportunities than anybody else. I actually thought, for the most part, in terms of how they played the game, I actually thought the top line wasn't terrible tonight. Unfortunately, they were on the ice for a lot of goals against, or at least 2 goals. Well, I think 2 goals against. They were on the ice for the first goal, and they were on the ice for the empty net goal. So ultimately, they end up being -2. But whatever. They generated some chances. They just did not finish. And again, in both cases with Jarvis, just not elevating the puck. Now, I don't know if Seth's dealing with still dealing with the upper body issue, probably the shoulder. I don't know if that's impacting him at all or not. He'll tell you probably that it isn't, and maybe it isn't. And maybe it's just one of those things. But man, considering some of the chances that they have had, it's peculiar that Jarvis, who I think a lot of people, including me, believe is one of Carolina's best natural finishers, he hasn't been able to scratch, really. Now, again, we're talking about 1 goal in 13 games. Now, he's getting assists. He's got 8 assists. He has 5 in the last 3 games. Actually, last 4 games, because nobody got a point tonight. So all the point streaks are over. But Jarvis had points in 3 straight, 5 assists. And again, he's got 1 goal and 8 assists, 9 points in the last 13 games. So he's on the score sheet. Necas has sort of been on the score sheet. 1 goal, 4 assists over the last 13 games. Remember, the goal is the empty net goal. Andrei Svechnikov, he had the assist on that. Andrei's really the problem in terms of where's the offense gone. Andrei's got a goal and an assist plus the empty net assist in now 12 games. And I would disagree with, I was talking to Corey Lavalette from the Athletic North State Journal today in the second intermission. He thinks Andrei's been playing well. I actually don't. Because Andre right now isn't being the power forward that Carolina needs. Like, there were long stretches of play last year, and Andre has gone through 18, 20-game goal-scoring droughts. But for the most part, during those droughts, he's still been impacting the game. Physically, puck retrieval, things like that. Those things have been sporadic lately, and we're going to get to some comments here in a second. But, I mean, you hate to make it about what it's not really about one player. Carolina's game tonight as a whole was trash. But big picturing this over this stretch of games, which has seen, I mean, legitimately Carolina not win 2 in a row since the 17th and 20th of December. I think that's the date when they last won consecutively. They beat Columbus and the Islanders here on the 15th and 17th of December. It's the last time they won 2 games in a row. They just had a 3-game point streak snapped. Of course, in between 2 wins was the shootout loss in Columbus. So, we don't have to make it too complicated. Carolina just needs their best players, their scorers, to be scorers. And in the case of Svechnikov and Necas, really, they're playing together too. That line has just been not very good. And you think about it, on home ice, and I was a little surprised that Rod started with Staal in between Necas and Svechnikov and Kotkaniemi in between Martinook and Carrier. In the second period, he flipped it back. Second period, he was when I'm just going to leave Staal, Martinook, and Carrier together because they play a certain way, and that certain way generates scoring chances, and they did to an extent. And I've been saying this for a long time. Carolina's what amounts to their third line on home ice. Rod generates really good matchups for them. That line should dominate on home ice. Kotkaniemi, Necas, and Svechnikov should dominate on home ice. It's just not happening right now. And part of it is because the two wingers just right now are kind of lost somewhere. But let's talk about where the game really unraveled. And then we'll get to some there were 2 positives tonight. We're going to get to those. We're going to get to the 2 positives. Adjust my headset there so it didn't look like I was an alien. But first, let's say hi to people. Let's Hoke County checks in. Daniel is super bummed in Hoke County. Hey, be thankful you're in Hoke County, right? Let's see. Checking in from my living room, says William. This team just isn't consistent enough. Yeah. They haven't won 2 in a row in 3 weeks. They've been win, lose, win, lose, win, lose. Yeah, that's what happens, right? They're struggling offensively. So Samuel was complaining that they don't hold their top guys accountable. How would we hold them accountable? Carolina carries 0 extra forwards. Right now, do they even have an extra defenseman? They don't even, because Riley Stillman's back in Chicago with the Wolves, so they're not even carrying an extra defenseman. They don't really have people they can call up to produce anything. So, on top of the fact that Rod Brindamore has never, ever in 7 years as being the head coach, he has never benched a player, healthy scratched a good player. He's never done it. The closest we have come to seeing one of Carolina's, so-called scorers benched was, I think it was 3 years ago, a game in Florida where Martin Necas was essentially benched for the last 10 minutes of the third period of a game in Florida. and then Necas scored the game-winning goal in overtime. Rod doesn't do that. For the most part, everybody plays hard. I think Carolina played hard tonight. They just didn't play well. Right? Flat? Yeah, there was some flatitude tonight, but I think Carolina played hard. They just didn't play well. Could not connect passes together tonight at all. So, look, didn't happen. Bobby wants me to help. I mean, sometimes it's not your night. And again, these games are not played in a vacuum. Minnesota's really good, and they played a game that Carolina wasn't interested in playing tonight. A boring one. But let's get to where this game unraveled. Frankly, it happened early. Joel Eriksson-Ek takes a 4-minute double minor for a high stick. Carolina gets a 4-minute power play right off the hop. 2.5 minutes in, whatever it was. And that was 4 minutes that we can't get back. Woof. One shot. One in 4 minutes. Not even a missed shot. One shot on goal, wasn't even really a scoring chance. In 4 minutes of power play time. I said it after the Florida game when everybody was feeling good. Ty Smith ain't it. He's not it at 5-on-5. He's not it on the power play. Boy, did they miss Shane Gostisbehere. But my gosh, he does nothing for me. He's a 4A player to me. He's a good, healthy extra. Or you can send him to the minor leagues. You can send him to Chicago, and he can maybe help the Wolves, win down there. But he ain't going to help the Hurricanes win. He's not helping the Hurricanes on the power play. And he's clearly not helping them at 5-on-5. So at some point, if Gostisbehere is going to be out for a lengthy period of time, and they're talking about weeks, not games, I mean, they got to find another player to come up. I don't know if maybe it's Riley Stillman. I don't know. But it ain't Ty Walker. Again, I ain't blaming him for this. I said it after the game on Thursday. He's just not very good. I realize he was a former first-round pick. Who did that? So that power play, which is really two power plays, completely sucked the life out of the first period. And it wasn't until after Minnesota made it 1-0 that Carolina woke up. And again, we had the two chances, Aho to Jarvis, which, one of those probably needs to be a goal. For some reason, only one of them was considered a high danger scoring chance. I just don't know how they're both high danger scoring chances. Both of them. Jarvis could have scored on either one. And I feel for Seth, but I'm sure Seth is right now I need to score one of those, probably both of them. Which, for whatever it's worth, not entirely sure he's 100% healthy. But special teams did Carolina in tonight. 0 for 4 in the power play. And that didn't get any better, by the way, in their other two opportunities. 3 shots on goal in 8 minutes of power play time. And they were 2 out of 3 on the kill. And I want to explain, and I think this was kind of indicative all night of Carolina's inability to control the puck, even in their own end. Because they had, on the goal that was disallowed, if you go back and watch that play, if you have the ability to rewind and watch maybe the 20 seconds leading up to the goal that was waved off, not their goal that was waved off, Minnesota's goal that would have made it 4-0. Was it Ben Jones would have been his first NHL goal. but it was waved off for goaltender interference. 3 in a row now, by the way, since Jack Drury's goal was chalked off. However, a month ago, when Eric Robinson was ruled to have interfered with the goalie, and an NHL official, Tim Peel, told me after, goes, nah, that's not goaltender interference. That's crazy. So they got that wrong. Either way, the Hurricanes are 3 for 3 now in goaltender interference challenges. Whether they challenge or somebody else challenge, the Hurricanes are now 3 for 3. I said this before. They are never losing another one, ever. Because and even if they never lose another one, it still won't even it out. Anyway, so that was a positive. We found a positive. I'm going to find you another positive in a minute. But in the second period, it's still a 1-0 hockey game. You're one good bounce away from getting even. We all know what happened with the Jalen Chatfield goal, then no goal later on. I'm not arguing with that call. Jackson Blake was still on the ice. We can talk about that in a second anyway. So you kill off the first penalty, but if you watch that, Staal and Martinook, the two forwards, and I think might have been Orlov and Chatfield, started. Carolina couldn't get anybody off the ice. Nobody could get off the ice. Staal was still on the ice after the power play expired when Marcus Foligno created the scoring opportunity down the left side. I think it might have been around Staal too. And Kochetkov made the save, but also upended Foligno, which led to the second power play. But Carolina could not get off the ice. Staal was out there for the entirety of it, so much so that when the next power play for Minnesota started, he was still on the bench sucking air. Aho and Jarvis started that penalty kill, and they did a fine job. But again, Carolina had a hard time getting off the ice, and ultimately the shot from Zuccarello with Eriksson Ek in front deflected past him. Now it's 2-0. And I said probably, a few minutes before the game on Twitter, it just feels like these penalty kills were huge. It was right before that first power play, which Carolina did kill. I said, it feels like a pretty big kill coming up because I don't know that there are 2 goals in this game for Carolina. And as long as it stays 1-0, 1 goal would get you to overtime and get you a point. That's legitimately the way I was thinking about it, middle of the second period. Or whenever that the first power play started. Killed the first one, couldn't kill the second one. There's your game. At 2-0, I didn't think Carolina was going to be, was going to come back. But man, if that goal had stood, the Chatfield carom off the back of Chisholm, it hit the goalie, hit Chisholm, and then went in. If that goal had stood 2-1, yeah, okay, you got a one-shot hockey game entering the third period. Anything can happen. Maybe Carolina comes out, plays an inspired period. Look, 2-0, you're not out of it. Minnesota now 16-0-0 when leading after 2. Pretty good. 16-0-0 when leading after 2. But here's what happened in between those 2 power plays, those basically consecutive power plays. Carrier, who was in the box for the first one, came out of the box and had an opportunity at center ice with the puck to get it deep to allow Jordan Staal to also leave the ice, maybe a defenseman to also leave the ice, and he couldn't get the puck deep. So it never crossed over the center ice stripe, and Minnesota just brought it back into the zone. So it's still the extension of the first power play. Even though you have the same number of players on the ice, you got tired players on the ice because they couldn't get off. And if I could just go to natural stat trick, I can actually see the shift that they were on the ice for so long. Staal was on the ice for, it's hard to tell how long this is, but Staal and Martinook were on the ice for Staal was on the ice for the entire power play. He was on the ice just before the power play started. And then he was on the ice for like 20 seconds after the power play started, or after the power play ended. So that's like what amounted to a, 2-minute and 40-second shift. And Orlov and Chatfield were on defense the entire first power play. It was just a disaster. Carolina just couldn't get control of the puck. Whether in the offensive zone or the defensive zone, just couldn't control the puck. I don't know if everybody went out late last night or not. Look, I'm not trying to be flippant about it. Carolina that was the game that they were playing tonight. So it is what it is. But when Carrier couldn't get the puck deep, it led to the second power play because Kochetkov, who made a great play, also ended up tripping Marcus Foligno. And then they couldn't kill off the next power play. Same thing, by the way, it happened on the second power play. Carolina couldn't get guys off. Had the same guys on the ice just about the entire time. And that really was indicative of what Carolina was today. It looked like they were playing on choppy ice, and Minnesota wasn't. And Minnesota was trying to play the most boring game they could possibly play. All right, so the positive is 3 for 3 now in goaltender interference challenges since the Jack Drury mistake by the referees and the NHL office. Total mistake. And I'm going to give you one more positive with a caveat, and we'll close on this. The second positive is, and I'm going to start with the caveat, until the Matt Boldy goal, I thought Kochetkov was really good. That Matt Boldy goal was bad. Not because it was a soft goal, but because, I don't know, maybe he was sick and tired. He certainly didn't have a lot to do. But that goal was helped along by the fact that Kochetkov tried a poke check like 15 feet from the puck. Like, dude, he's looking up. And at this point, everybody expects the poke check now. So they're looking for it. And as soon as he made the move, way before he should, Boldy just shot it. Boom, here's a goal. So, I think for the most part, Kochetkov has been really good. He was great in Florida. He was great in Columbus until the overtime. He was great the game before that here. Was it here against the Devils? No, it was Tokarski played the second game against the Devils here. He was good in New Jersey against the Devils. They just need him to not do that. Don't give himself up like that. They needed him to match Gustavsson, but I mean, I'm not saying he didn't, because I don't think Gustavsson needed to be on top of it. I will point this out, and then we'll get out of here. Filip Gustavsson's a really good goalie. He's one of the best goalies in the West, one of the best goalies in the NHL. Carolina had 2 grade A, according to Natural Stat Trick. I'm going to add one to it because they don't have both of the Jarvis tries in the first period as grade A's. They were. Gustavsson faced 3 grade A scoring chances all game. Scoring shots all game. Carolina only had 3 shots on goal in the third period. 3. Breathe. All right, we'll back tomorrow for Canes and the Penguins. This has been the Canes Corner podcast brought to you by the Aluminum Company of North Carolina. If it is for the exterior of your home, you can find it at the Aluminum Company of North Carolina on Hamlin Road in Durham. No place like it. Sammy Hanna and his crew do a great job. You should check them out. Until tomorrow, Canes Penguins a little bit earlier, hour earlier. I am Adam. Thank you very much. Oh, wait, you know what I wanted to do real quick? Just because it's one of the, never mind. I'm not doing it. Anyway, we'll see everybody tomorrow after the Canes and the Penguins. Thank you so much, and we'll